Hello and welcome to Silver Age, Silver Screen, a podcast where we watch, discuss, and review well, actually, this is a discussion video, so we're not reviewing. But yeah, we talk about dumb shit in comic books. I'm your co-host, Casey Jarms.
And I'm your other co-host, Riley Thorpe.
And Riley, I have a confession to make.
What's that?
And for the audience, because this is an audio-only podcast, I'm going to describe what's happening. Riley, you're looking at me right now, and I am taking off my glasses.
Oh my god! It's Casey, man!
Yeah, that's a lame name, but yes, people apparently look completely different with their glasses.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you got everybody. Peter Parker, Clark Kent, other superheroes that have glasses that I can't really think off the top of my head.
We're talking about secret identities and whether or not they would work in real life. There are a lot of superheroes who just go with the glasses thing. Like Supergirl does it, Wonder Woman did it before she went public with her secret identity. Like DC's been, for literal decades, been making fun of Superman just wearing glasses, and some writers make it work, but they do it with other characters, which is weird.
You and I got on this topic kind of by accident, because lately we've been reviewing Batman v Superman, where there's a scene in which Lex Luthor deduces Superman's real identity as Clark Kent. And we've reviewed a couple Spider-Man movies where, up to this point, it's like in every single Spider-Man movie, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. What with him throwing a football and denting the goalposts.
You know, we haven't done Homecoming yet, but God, that's gotta be the worst Spider-Man for him having a secret identity.
Yeah.
Where he just shows up wherever Peter Parker is, and Peter Parker brags that he knows Spider-Man.
And then that just kind of got you and I, Casey, talking about secret identities. Do they work? When do they not work? How do they work? And I think it was just kind of a unanimous decision that we were going to discuss this on our next discussion episode of the show. What we're going to structure this episode on, from what we agreed upon, I think, was we're going to be structuring it around superheroes with secret identities with a particular focus on Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, and Iron Man. But there's a lot of other superheroes with and without secret identities. That's why we included Iron Man in the main four, because he doesn't.
Also because we needed a second Marvel one. Honestly, I don't have much for... Do you have much for Iron Man? I have, small amounts for Iron Man and equal amounts for Daredevil. It's fine.
No, I don't necessarily have a lot for any of them. When it comes to Iron Man, I just want to ask some questions and have a conversation about certain things.
Okay, let's go with him first.
Iron Man. We all know genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist Tony Stark. He's the head of Stark Industries. He was a weapons manufacturer throughout the wars, whatever. And originally in the comics, I believe it was the Vietnam War. And in the MCU, it was the War on Terror in the Middle East. But he was kidnapped by the enemy and forced into a labor camp, essentially, where he learned the error of his ways after learning just the sheer devastation that his weapons cause. And in doing so, broke out of the prison after creating an Iron Man suit, was able to get back to America, where he disbanded his weapons manufacturing companies and became the superhero Iron Man. Now, he also went public with his secret identity as Tony Stark. Well, at first, it was a secret, but he eventually, over time, came out the iconic line, "I am Iron Man."
Yeah, in the MCU, they just drop any pretense of a secret identity for him, or really any of the MCU film heroes other than Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
But in the comics, he did for 30 years have a secret identity where he's like, what? I am not Iron Man. Iron Man is a guy who works for me. Which honestly, I think kinda works a bit better than just pretending unrelated. Because, yeah, Iron Man would need to have a billionaire super scientist making his suits of armor, and he always shows up around Tony Stark. So, yeah, he's Tony Stark's bodyguard.
They did that in the comics for a little while. The thing about Iron Man, or at least in the MCU, is he's public and out in the open with his, and nowadays in the comics as well, he's very out in the open with his public identity. First of all, the line, "I am Iron Man," was improvised by Robert Downey Jr. That was not in the script. But the question I have is, if you look at both Marvel and DC, Iron Man and Batman are pretty similar in terms of the positions their alter egos are in the world. They're both billionaire CEOs. They're both vigilante crime-fighting superheroes. They're both tech-based characters. So if you look at it, Iron Man and Batman are in very similar positions. But why is it that Batman needs a secret identity, whereas Iron Man doesn't?
Well, needs and has are different questions. I guess writers could have Iron Man have a secret identity and Batman go public, which they have done in some continuities, but I feel like the biggest reason is because different stories are told about them. You get stories with Iron Man like Civil War, where he's this public figure as a sort of leader for the superhero community, working either with or against the US government as a public figure, depending on the story. Whereas Batman, he's ostensibly being hunted by the Gotham PD. They don't really give a shit about catching him, but he's an anti-hero. He breaks so many laws. They probably should be arresting him. And if he had a public identity, they probably would.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I also think Batman is in the position to protect himself, whether legally or financially or physically. I feel like he is kind of in the position to protect himself. They both are. Because one of the big reasons why superheroes have a secret identity is, yes, like what you said, Casey, and in addition to that, they're also trying to keep the people they love safe. They're trying to keep themselves and the people they love safe, right? Well, Batman deals with a lot of street-level supervillains that commit street-level crimes. So he's trying to protect himself and the people he loves and cares about from the likes of the Joker, Two-Face, the Riddler, and stuff like that. But if you look at it, a vast majority of the people that Batman cares about personally, I mean, he cares about everybody. That's why he does what he does. But the reasons why he would keep a secret identity would be to protect the people that he cares about personally.
Yeah, oh no, everyone knows I'm Bruce Wayne. Now they're going to murder my son, the trained assassin.
Exactly. Like, everyone around Batman personally is very well in the position to protect themselves. All the Robins, Batgirl, Spoiler, hell, even Alfred and Commissioner Gordon. They're all in the positions to protect themselves. And Batman is the richest man in the history of the world. He has a lot of pull financially and legally all around the world. I'm sure if the government came to him being like, hey, we kind of need you to answer for your crimes. Oh, yeah. And he's like, okay, yeah, let me make one phone call. Yeah. Hey, listen, the entirety of the Justice League, I need you to break me out of prison for a little bit. And then they have Superman, Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg. They have all them coming on their ass.
Also, if Batman goes public, it endangers the people he cares about. I mean, they're already in danger because of their relation to Batman.
Very
you
true.
mentioned Commissioner Gordon as a loved one of Batman's. The Killing Joke happened and would have happened regardless of if Batman was public with his identity. Alfred's probably the biggest one, but even then, Alfred has that he was a Secret Service agent, or the British Secret Service, I forget the word, MI6?
Yeah.
He was a badass when he was younger, and there's that one Injustice comic where he beats the shit out of Superman.
That was badass, too. To go off of that as well, if you look at, say, the likes of Iron Man, he deals with, highly technologically advanced terrorist groups and alien robot armies. And in some cases, a literal giant fucking dragon named Fin Fang Foom.
I hope we get Fin Fang Foom in the MCU soon. He's such a dumb fun character. Just this big-ass dragon who Marvel characters beat the shit out of.
So if you look at the likes of Iron Man, he deals with much, arguably greater global, intergalactic threats. And the people that he cares about, I'm sorry, I love Happy, I love Pepper, they're not equipped to protect themselves against the likes of, Ultron, AIM. So Iron Man deals with much greater threats, and the people around him are far less, with the exception of Rhodey, are far less equipped to dealing with his enemies. So why is it that Iron Man's secret identity can be revealed and his is fine, but Batman, who is in a much less personal relationship with anybody who would be in any legitimate danger. Why does he need one and the others didn't?
I mean, I don't really have a good answer. I would like to note, speaking of the MCU, where he never had a secret identity, I do like how in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin just, blows up his house.
Yeah.
Because he's a public figure. You can look up where he lives online. Actually, I'm pretty sure Iron Man flat out says his address on an interview and then goes home and's like, I'm fucked.
Yeah. I just find it interesting that in some cases, like in the MCU, for example, no one has a secret identity because no one needs it apart from Spider-Man. And I think that there's a relationship between giant cosmic threats versus more street level personal threats. Like, say, Superman and Batman. Both of them have secret identities. In the case of who has figured them out, the people that have figured out Superman's secret identity, the list includes Lex Luthor, Batman, Parasite, Lois Lane, Brainiac, Darkseid, General Zod, and even Muhammad Ali, believe it or not. That's a true story. The boxer, the fighter.
And that's mixing a few continuities.
Very true, very true.
I should note, while I was doing research for this video, in 2019, Superman in the comics went public with his secret identity. So everyone can be added to that list.
The thing about it is, on my research, it's like Brainiac and Darkseid, they know his secret identity. They just don't care because that's irrelevant to them. You know, they're not in the position ooh, his family. No, Darkseid's still gonna go after the anti-life equation. Knowing where Martha is doesn't change his plans in any way. These giant cosmic threats that Superman faces, the information of who are you pretending to be in real life, that doesn't really matter to them. Whereas in Batman and even Spider-Man and Daredevil, I think there's a heightened level of danger because A, they're not as powerful as Superman, and B, they deal with street level crime, which is a lot more grounded, realistic, and frightening. I think that when it comes to Batman, who deals with a lot of street level crime, whereas Iron Man deals with a lot of cosmic threats, I think that Batman is in more of a compromised position if his identity could get out.
Although, to be fair, so many Batman villains know his secret identity.
Oh, yeah.
Hugo Strange, Bane, Ra's al Ghul.
The
You
Riddler.
know what's the most interesting, I think, villain who knows Batman's secret identity?
Who's that?
Yeah, the Joker knows who Batman is. In, I believe it was Death of the Family, it had this ending that it's a really good scene that I like, where Batman reveals to Alfred that after the first time he fought the Joker, he came home and found a Joker playing card sitting on his computer, which means that the Joker, for years, has known Batman's real identity and just not done anything about it.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, Batman went to Arkham as Bruce Wayne and showed Joker the playing card, and Joker looks at him, and Batman's narration is, he just, looked at me like he couldn't see me. The Joker does not care who Batman is in his day job. He's obsessed with Batman, oh, Batman spends half his time pretending to be an idiot. Well, I want to fight him when he's being smart.
There's a lot of people, hell, even Tim Drake, Batman's third Robin, figured out who Batman is. And he was a teenager at the time. There's a long list of people that have figured out some of these people's secret identities. Amanda Waller, the leader of the Suicide Squad, is in Project Cadmus, I believe that's what it was. She figured out Batman's secret identity, which kind of goes towards another point I have. That makes sense. Like Lex Luthor figuring out Superman.
Well, regarding Lex Luthor, you mentioned Lex Luthor figuring it out, and he did in the DCEU continuity.
He did, yes.
But in the comics, it's weird. So, Lex, 20 different times has found out that Clark Kent is Superman, and just said, oh, well, that's stupid. He's not Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Lex is physically incapable of understanding that Superman is Clark Kent.
Right.
Because Lex is so goddamn arrogant, he cannot fathom why a guy who can punch the earth in half would pretend to be a mild-mannered reporter. He can't process it. And also, it's not really pretending is the thing, Lex. He really is that. He may be playing up the clumsiness, but yeah, Superman is a dork.
Exactly. And there's even some portrayals of him in the comics where him and Clark Kent were actually childhood best friends who grew apart.
Yeah, in the Silver Age, do you know what Lex's, motivation in the Silver Age was?
What's that?
When they were children, he was doing a lab experiment and caught his hair on fire, and Superboy saved him, but, like, the chemicals made Lex go bald, so now he wants to kill Superman.
I mean, it's pretty valid, I think. I don't know. It's explained away. The reason why Lex Luthor refuses to believe that Clark Kent is, at least in those timelines where him and Superman are childhood best friends, is because he's so prideful and arrogant that he can't fathom the idea that anyone from Smallville, as he is from, is in any way better than him.
And I will say, and we'll get into this later, I think that Clark Kent actually would work in real life as a secret identity. Assuming it's a continuity where Superboy doesn't exist. If it's a continuity where Superboy exists, then no. He's from a small town, 3,000 people? Ooh, that narrows down that list a lot!
Right. Before we get into the specifics of Superman's, how his secret identity works and all that, I just wanted to say one last thing. Lex Luthor in the DCEU figuring out Superman's secret identity, Amanda Waller figuring out Batman, and a bunch of other people throughout Marvel, DC, all superhero comics. It makes sense to me, the fact that if you are intelligent enough and or have enough resources to piece this information together, you're probably going to figure out who these people are. I'm going to be very uncharacteristic of myself and give praise to a CW show here. In one of the first few seasons of The Flash, there was a part where General Eiling, played by Clancy Brown, was, I think, being mind-controlled by Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And then at the end of the episode, when he gets free of that, he's in, like, Star Labs, and Barry Allen's like, oh, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm mind-controlled just like... Or he's, like, trying to play it off like he has no idea what's going on. But General Eiling goes, you know what, Allen? Save it. I've known you're the Flash for months now. I don't know, that makes sense to me. Like, someone with enough resources as a general would realistically have the capability to figure out something like that. Like, for me, I don't know, it makes sense that someone like Amanda Waller, General Eiling, Lex Luthor, even Ra's al Ghul piece together stuff like this.
I will note one thing that in some Batman continuities they do that I really like is say that, yeah, Jim Gordon knows who Batman is, but he's just not gonna say it for plausible deniability because Jim's a smart cop. He would figure it out. Also, in year one, he saw Batman without his mask, so...
Right, but he was, at least the way it was illustrated, is like the sun was right behind him, so he was blinded, right?
Yeah, and he didn't have his glasses, but that's a shaky excuse. I like Jim Gordon being able to smart... Oh, by the way, before we get up, because we started this little tangent, well, not tangent, it's the main discussion. We started this part of the discussion by talking about Iron Man, and I have one more thing about Iron Man. Do you know how Iron Man's public identity went public in the comics?
No.
So there was a comic where he saw a dog crossing the road and it was about to get hit by a car. So he jumped in his Iron Man suit in front of everyone and flew to save the dog by smashing the car, which probably would have hurt seriously the driver.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was a dumb way to reveal his secret identity.
Yeah.
There were other ways to save that dog, Iron Man.
Right.
Also, you just fucked up that guy's car. Also, I mean, it's a dog. It's cute, but you just endangered Pepper Potts' life.
That's pretty dumb. When was this? Was this like in the 80s?
Oh god, I think it was like the 90s is the thing.
Oh god. Well, I mean, the 90s were they're not called the Dark Ages for nothing, So, yeah, Superman. So, a lot of people give Superman flack for the fact that all he has to do to keep his secret identity intact is by putting on his glasses. Well, there is a lot more to it than that. I actually did a lot of research, and there is a lot more to it. See, it's not just the fact that these superheroes, they have to, wear different clothes and they're suddenly a different person. A lot of these superheroes, the writers make it clear, they go to incredibly great lengths to differentiate their superhero personas with their real personas. Like, Superman has been written to have taken acting classes for the purpose of learning how to act one way as Clark Kent and learning to act another way as Superman. Same with Batman. Batman's a psychopath, so naturally he's a great actor.
I mean, no, he is not.
He's a sociopath, let's be honest.
Not that either. Words have meaning. He needs therapy. He needs so much therapy, but he doesn't have a complete lack of empathy.
No, you're right. Superman, what he does is he actually goes very far into changing his posture and his voice and his physical mannerisms, the clothes he wears.
Yeah, there's like this one sketch from the development of All-Star Superman where they show as like a reference document like the posture between Superman and Clark Kent. Clark Kent slouches, he looks fat, but Superman, he's standing up straight, he looks powerful, got his chest out.
Yeah, on top of the fact that Clark Kent wears a lot baggier clothes, he has a higher voice, his hair is different, his eyes are different, and that's where the glasses come in because the glasses
They're tinted.
Yeah, they're tinted. They make his eyes seem more of a duller gray, and he takes them off, they're like a bright, piercing blue. What a lot of people don't realize is just how much posture does for your body. Like, sitting up straight can, like, change the form of your entire body. Point is, Superman goes very far into acting completely different. He has a persona that he puts on. Same exact thing with Superman, Spider-Man, Daredevil. They all have these personas that they pretend to show out to the world. Like Superman, for example, changes his posture, his voice, his mannerisms, physicality, clothes, even pretends to have a lack of confidence, just to keep people away from the idea that he might be Superman. Also, in some continuities, his glasses are made of a Kryptonian glass that help him control his heat vision while also amplifying his hypnotic powers.
Oh, God.
In some continuities, it's shown that he has these hypnotic powers that psychically gives people the impression that he looks and acts like a different person. Along with the posture and the acting exercises he does, his hypnotic powers make people less convinced that he's Superman.
I'm glad that part of the Silver Age, that Superman, why don't people see through his secret identity? Well, because of his hypnosis powers. Because of his what now? I'm glad that they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
It was dumb. But, I mean, seriously, I think the secret identity of Clark Kent would work in real life. Looking at adaptations, it really varies. Like, I don't think Henry Cavill does a good job differentiating them. And like George Newbern, who played him in the cartoons, who is probably my favorite Superman, I have to admit, yeah, those are the same guy. But look at Christopher Reeve. Those are not the same person.
Christopher Reeve did a phenomenal job as Superman. And as Clark Kent, he was just perfect in both roles. And you can see him in the middle of scenes, like, switching between the two personas. Like, it was fantastic to watch.
Here's the end of the day. Clark Kent kind of looks like Superman. But if you knew someone who kind of looked like a famous person, you wouldn't assume that they're secretly the famous person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure, what is it? The drummer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers looks identical to Will Ferrell,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean they're the same person. Lots of people look like lots of people. Also, I mean, it's not like Clark Kent is famous. I mean, he's a well-known writer. He's like Pulitzer Prize winning. But when have you ever been reading a news article and say, yes, I can picture the writer of this perfectly in my mind?
Right, exactly. And Superman takes a lot of precautionary steps to prevent himself as Superman getting pictures taken of him up close. He can do what the Flash does, and he vibrates his head really fast so his facial features are blurred.
Oh, that's a dumb thing.
Yeah, it is dumb, and that's how I explain the bad CGI face in the 2017 Justice League, because he was vibrating his face so quickly.
Okie doke,
Yeah,
sure.
that's my explanation of that. It does not work at all. It's just shitty CGI because a mustache was more important than Superman. Also, a big thing about it, the reason why people don't piece together that Clark Kent is Superman is based on the fact that nobody's looking for it. You know, like Superman, his whole brand and goal is to be as honest and trustworthy as possible to the people of the world, right? So that's why he doesn't wear a mask. So a lot of people assume that because he doesn't wear a mask, he doesn't have a secret identity. That's just Superman's just who he is.
He's public about his backstory. Hello, I am Kal-El. I am from the planet Krypton. This is my house, the Fortress of Solitude. So people just assume, he told us his name. He doesn't have a secret identity. I'm pretty sure I've seen this one comic where Kyle Rayner learned Superman's secret identity. It's like, Wait, you have a secret identity? I thought you were just Superman all the time.
Superman's public persona is this one of confidence and trustworthiness and honesty. Clark Kent, in many ways, is the mask that he puts on, as Bill put it very incorrectly in Kill Bill Volume 2. Yeah, what did Bill say about that?
He said that Superman is basically... I don't remember the exact quote, but he says that Superman is like mocking humanity. He's pretending to be like a loser because that's what he thinks of us. No, Superman's a goddamn dork, Bill.
Yeah, no.
He genuinely says, gee golly, and wowza. Like, he grew up in Kansas. No offense to people from Kansas.
Now, people from Florida, on the other hand, fuck you, but...
Oh, God, not again.
Yeah, no. It's just like the fact that people aren't looking for Superman's real identity. Also, it's like, even if Superman did go public with the fact that he is Clark Kent, the reason why he does what he does is because the people in his life are very ill-equipped to deal with a giant threat, or with anything, right? Like any of Superman's villains, or any just street-level crime. Like, oh yeah, he's Clark Kent. Let's go kill Lois Lane, or whatever. Someone hires a hitman to kill Ma and Pa Kent. Do you really want to piss off Superman, though? The man can punch a planet in half without breaking a sweat. Do you really want him on your ass? He will be there in a split second. Part of me wants to think like, okay, well, if Superman's so powerful, would he really need to protect the people he loves? Because no one would ever dare enrage him like that. And all the characters that are powerful enough to fight him physically, they don't care about his secret identity. So it's like, at the end of the day, does he really need it? I don't know. Just a question.
So, basically, the point is, Clark Kent would work as a secret identity in modern comics. It definitely would not have worked in the Silver Age. Like, my God, it was well known in the Silver Age that Superman had a secret identity. And there are like 50 different issues where Lois tries to prove that Clark Kent is Superman because she kind of knows it. And Superboy existed. And there was an issue where Clark Kent acted in a movie where he played Superman because he looks like Superman.
I mean, it was the Silver Age. It was ridiculous.
And, I mean, in modern age, on one hand, you get Martian Manhunter appearing as Superman, so Superman and Clark Kent appear together. That would probably help protect his identity. But also, Superman was dead for a year. And Clark Kent was also dead for that year.
Yeah.
And then came back to life. And they just said, oh, well, you see, Clark Kent was under a building for a year. No one checked. He was under rubble. How is he still alive? Don't question it. He's not Superman, okay?
And then he shows up to work the next day like, hey, buddy, I heard you were crushed under rubble for a year. You doing okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You need to take a day off or something?
Also, I will say, I prefer continuities where Lois knows Superman's Clark Kent because, A, it's good for him not to keep massive secrets for her and their relationship, and B, she's interacted with both of them constantly. Like, the average person not thinking that Superman's Clark Kent because, I mean, they just look similar, that's all. Lois should know they're the same person. Otherwise, Lois very dumb.
Batman, on the other hand, what works about his secret identity is the fact that he's not a big public figure, flashy superhero. He's more so an urban legend that a lot of people even doubt the fact that he exists, despite the fact that he is a prominent member of the Justice League. He is able to keep his identity secret because he's not in the public eye. He is very secretive, very protective of his identity. He's very intelligent, very tactical.
He actually wears a mask.
He wears a mask that's lined with lead, so even Supergirl can't figure out his secret identity. What works about Batman is that he is just so brilliant that he finds ways to keep himself out of trouble. Like, there was this one issue in the comics where he revealed that he had been posting on, like, Reddit forums conspiracy theories that Bruce Wayne is Batman to automatically discredit. I'm not even joking.
Batman's a Redditor. He's a Redditor and a Sailor Moon fan. What other dumb, nerdy shit is Batman into?
Yeah, exactly. He, like, posts on online forums, like, conspiracy theories about himself being Batman so that everyone will be like, oh, Bruce Wayne is Batman? That's stupid.
You know, you say that Batman works as a secret identity because Batman's smart, but also, on the other hand, it works because Bruce Wayne is a fucking idiot.
Yes,
and
very
it
much so.
really depends on continuity. There are some continuities where I just don't buy it, because the problem is, if he wants to be nice and intelligent and philanthropic as Bruce Wayne, then he can't also be an idiot as Bruce Wayne. But in the continuities where he's a hardcore idiot, no one's gonna piece together he's Batman, except for all the reasons they will that we'll get into. Like, Bruce Wayne just being an idiot, it works.
I really loved how that was represented in Batman Year One. I, of course, have not read the comic yet, but I've seen the animated film. When Jim and Barbara Gordon go to visit him, and he's like got a prostitute with him, and he's like got an open robe revealing his junk and shit, it's like, God, you're laying this on thick, aren't you, Bruce?
Oh my god, Commissioner Gordon knows what Batman's dick looks like.
Hey, don't we all? Because it was silhouetted.
Oh
in a big
shit, right, there was
controversy.
that one comic where it was like in silhouette.
It's also pretty hard for Batman to hide his identity when he only operates in Gotham, or at least almost exclusively operates in Gotham City, where in that city, Bruce Wayne is the wealthiest man in the planet living in that city. And then Batman has billions of dollars worth of tanks, cars, planes, helicopters just flying throughout the city. Oh, where is he getting this? I don't know. Maybe the richest man in this exact same city is helping him out with that?
Yeah, and that's probably... Actually, there's a bigger reason. That's the second biggest reason why people would be able to figure out who Batman is.
Yeah.
The list isn't big. So, adult male in his 30s and 40s, obviously very wealthy, because he has tanks and shit. So Batman's a billionaire. Well, there's only 2755 plus probably more who keep it secret. There's only about 3,000 billionaires in the world. Side note, there was only 50 20 years ago billionaires. That's worrying. But anyway, there are about 600 billionaires in the US. I looked through the lists of the top 50. Only 2 could have been Batman just based on their age, you know? So right away, you got a wealthy dude in his 30s or 40s who's white, who lives in Gotham, who hates crime. That narrows down a lot. And perhaps even bigger, Robin. The same time that Bruce Wayne adopts a 12-year-old acrobat, Batman gets a 12-year-old acrobat sidekick. And along the same time Dick Grayson moves out is when Robin stops working with Batman. And at the same time Robin 2 dies, Batman's son also dies. Tim Drake was able to figure it out through Robin. And then he became Robin.
Batman would work better if he were just kind of by himself, in the shadows at night, fighting crime. But no, it's arguably he is very much so in the public eye, with the Justice League and Superman and even with the GCPD. And it's word gets around. If he were just by himself fighting crime, I don't think it would be that bad. But no, the amount of Wayne tech resources that he uses. I mean, that's why Ra's al Ghul was able to figure out who he is. Because he just followed the money. He followed where would he be getting all this financial support from?
Honestly, on that point, I believe it was during Grant Morrison's run, it is such a brilliant idea for how Batman can keep his secret identity. Bruce Wayne goes before a press conference, and he just says, look, people have speculated for years, I'm just going to go open with it. I am funding the Batman. He doesn't say he is Batman, he admits that he's the one who's been paying for all of Batman's shit.
Right.
Which gives him plausible deniability. Yeah, Bruce Wayne has something to do with Batman, but he's not Batman. Batman's some random martial artist he met once.
Yeah, I mean, but that still makes him culpable to a lot of what would be Batman's crimes that the government would be trying to go at him for.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, you know how I mentioned earlier how they went around, hey, what about Clark Kent when Superman was dead for a year? Want to know what they did when Batman was dead for a year?
What's that?
So Hush?
Yeah.
That supervillain who's obsessed with Bruce Wayne and got plastic surgery to make himself look like Bruce Wayne? Yeah, they just let Hush be Bruce Wayne for a year.
Jesus. Come on, does no one think?
2 other minor things on Batman before we move on. One's smart, one very stupid. So the smart one, in the comics, the Riddler managed to figure out who Batman is. And Batman's like, okay, you're not going to tell anyone, though. Oh, why is that? Because, I mean, it's a riddle. What's the point of a riddle that everyone knows the answer to? Well, fuck, I guess I'll keep your secret identity then, Batman.
I mean, the Riddler is pretty OCD about stuff like that, so, I don't know. It's really cheap, but I don't know, I'd believe it when it came to the Riddler.
And actually, I have two more things. One, in the Silver Age, there was a comic, and it's the dumbest way I have ever seen someone protect their secret identity. So Bruce Wayne wanted to prove he wasn't Batman, so he found an actor who was blind and deaf, so he wouldn't be able to see or hear anything that's going on. And he dressed him up like Batman, and then just had him hang out with Bruce Wayne, and did ventriloquism to make people think that he was making Batman talk, even though Batman's lips weren't moving.
Wow.
The Silver Age was really fucking dumb, okay? But I love it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, whatever works for you, Bruce.
And finally, in the Injustice continuity, Batman pissed off Superman, so Superman just tweeted, Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah, that's a dick move, Clark.
I mean, it works. You know, that's the problem with all of the gotta be like 100 people over the years who have been part of the Justice League. Every single one of them knows who Batman is. And like half of them have turned evil at one point.
Yeah, I mean, there was in the Arkham games, one of them in particular.
I believe it was Arkham Knight that you're thinking of.
Arkham Knight is the one where Batman revealed his secret identity to the world. But in Arkham Origins, Bane figured it out that Batman was Bruce Wayne by him saying, like, you don't know what you're dealing with. Like, Bruce Wayne said that publicly, and then Batman said it to Bane, and they were recording both of them and said, oh, yeah, they're the exact same person. That was the justification for Bane figuring it out. And then Bane forgot it by the end of the game because he OD'd on Venom, and it destroyed his memory.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I don't remember the specifics. I saw it while I was researching for this discussion, and it was very dumb. In the comics, the most dangerous Batman villain ever, Killer Moth, once found out Batman's secret identity, but then the cops shot him in the head, so he lost the memory.
But he didn't die.
No. No. That's probably slightly off, but yeah, something like that happened.
Alright, so you want to move on to Spider-Man?
Yeah, Spider-Man. In theory, has a good secret identity. Peter Parker isn't famous. He wears a mask. So, you know, those are two steps to having a working secret identity. Except, he sucks at keeping a secret identity.
Yeah. Added to the fact that every chance he gets, he, like, demonstrates his powers at school. Added to that, like, he knows 80% of his villains personally. In one continuity or the other. Like, he unmasked the Hobgoblin, was like, wait, I don't know you. Wow, this is a first. Like, Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and the Lizard in one continuity have all been a mentor to him at some point. And it just, there's all these other people who have such a deep personal connection to him. And at no point did any of them go, oh, by the way, yeah, Spider-Man is Peter Parker.
It's amazing that Venom doesn't go public with it. Because
Right.
Venom knows, because the symbiote has some of Peter's memories, and Venom's whole thing is that he fucking hates Spider-Man. He's just two dudes who hate Spider-Man and bond over it and become Venom and just try and ruin Spider-Man's life.
Right. And I would assume that because Venom knows, then Carnage would know.
I don't know if it works like that with the memories, but
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Spider-Man is like a good cross between Batman and Superman in terms of his secret identity versus his public persona. You know, like you said, wears a mask. He acts like a different person. No one's looking for Spider-Man as this 16-year-old kid, this high schooler, college student, whatever. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, Spider-Man, like we said, so many people would figure out, just in the movies alone, every single Spider-Man movie, it's like everyone knows that he's Spider-Man. I don't know, it's just funny because Spider-Man, I love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero, but he's not good at keeping a secret identity. Hell, even in the fucking Civil War storyline, where he publicly came out, revealed his secret identity, and then because of that got Aunt May killed.
And then he had to sell his marriage to Mephisto, and it was really dumb, and everyone hated it.
Spider-Man's not too great at it.
You know what the biggest problem with Spider-Man keeping his secret identity is? Peter Parker knows Spider-Man. He's public that he's the dude who takes selfies of Spider-Man. So, like, every single villain, like, goes after Peter Parker to get to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So what's even the point of a secret identity, Parker?
Right, exactly. Like the Daily Bugle, like in the last Spider-Man movie we watched, which was last episode. You should go check that out, everybody. The Daily Bugle publishes photos of Spider-Man every day. The Daily Bugle is not some shady secret digital organization. It has an office. All the Green Goblin has to do is show up there, blow open a wall, and be like, hey, where do you get these photos? You? Oh, this 15-year-old kid? All right, cool, come with me. And then Spider-Man just magically shows up. Oh, yeah, that's convenient. I'm gonna knock you out with gas and then not take off your mask. Spider-Man, on the surface, it would work. But god damn it, if you think about it for more than a couple seconds, it does not. I have a couple other characters here that do you have anything else to say about Spider-Man?
I don't have anything else on Spider-Man, but yeah, like you, during my research, I found some very dumb secret identities, and I'm saving Daredevil for last because there's so much dumb shit with Daredevil's secret identity. We've talked about Superman. Well, what if Superman didn't wear his glasses when he was Clark Kent, and also he wore a t-shirt with the Superman logo on it, and also his Superman costume was the same as his civilian clothes? In that case, you get Connor Kent.
Yeah.
How is this a secret identity?
It's really not. I feel like when it comes to Clark Kent just having to take off his glasses and be Superman and change in a telephone booth, which has windows all around it, like, duh, but hey, I just watched Clark go into the telephone booth when Brainiac is attacked. Oh my god, that's Superman. But, I don't know, I feel like DC is just at this point, due to its iconic nature, they're stuck with that. They can't change anything about it. And then they make fun of it all the time with like Supergirl, this, Connor Kent, all that. I don't know, that is really dumb. One that I think is pretty dumb is Green Arrow.
Oh god, yeah, Green Arrow.
Oh yeah, again, like you said, a billionaire who's physically young enough and physically fit enough to be a vigilante crime fighter. He has the exact same facial hair as the Green Arrow. So, I don't know, piece two and two together. I mean, he wears a mask over his eyes and he wears a hood, but he doesn't cover up his very distinct mustache and beard.
Yeah. I saw this one comic where, like, he's talking to a cop after saving the day, and the cop refers to him as Oliver Queen, and he's like, how do you know my secret identity? And he's like, wait, it's a secret identity? And eventually he just went public with it because, I mean, it's obvious. Also, he hangs out with Black Canary. You'll notice the mask that she doesn't wear.
Right. Even in the CW show, it's like she just wears a little eye mask and I think a wig, and then her own sister doesn't recognize her standing 2 feet away. Like, that's stupid. That's CW stupid at that point.
You know Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash?
Yeah.
Who doesn't wear a mask but, like, shakes his face really fast? He once competed in the Olympics under the name Jay Garrick, wearing his Flash costume and using his super speed.
I mean, that was the golden age. I mean, no excuses.
Yeah.
No excuses. Just because it came out 70 years ago doesn't mean it's excusable for being devoid of logic. A lot of the characters that just do not wear masks just don't go very far to hide their own identities.
Also, pretty sure the Olympics would have kicked him out. You got super speed, my dude.
Yeah.
They banned steroids. I'm pretty sure they banned random chemicals and lightning. Speaking of not wearing masks, have you been watching the show Invincible?
Yes, actually, yes.
Yeah, I gotta love Adam Eve, whose real name is Eve, who just doesn't wear a mask and everyone calls her Eve in real life. Like, And sort of related, do you ever watch Danny Phantom as a kid? Because the superhero is named Danny Phantom and his real name is Danny Fenton. And I remember an episode where someone's like, makes fun of Danny and is like, hey, Danny Fenton, it's not like you're Danny Phantom. And again, no mask!
Same exact thing applies to Green Lantern John Stewart. doesn't wear a mask, is public with his identity, which I kind of give that one a pass, though, because I feel like the Green Lanterns, they don't necessarily need that because, again, they're fighting more cosmic threats. Then again, some of their more cosmic threats, like Sinestro, can be pretty conniving.
But also, Sinestro knows all their first names.
That too. Exactly. Sinestro used to be one of them, so he already knows. Why doesn't Sinestro do anything? The Green Lanterns in general might not need secret identities, because it's like, they're out in the galaxy. Why would they have any other reason to do that? But Jon Stewart in particular is very open.
So you know the Fantastic Four, how they don't have secret identities because they don't wear masks?
Mm-hmm.
When they were first introduced, Johnny Storm had a secret identity, but only Johnny Storm. So, who is this weird man who hangs out with the Storm Richards family? Who knows? Oh, and he's off. Man, I wish I knew the Human Torch's secret identity.
And it's pretty hard, pretty challenging on the topic of the Fantastic Four. I'd imagine it's pretty hard to keep that one a secret because one of the members of the team is 24/7 a giant rock monster. He's got to go outside and live a life.
Yeah.
And, who is he hanging out with? Oh, Reed Richards, who looks exactly like Mr. Fantastic. And Sue and Johnny
Storm. Yeah, they
Storm.
dropped the secret identity very quickly for obvious reasons. You know Thor, the 7-foot-tall dude with long blonde hair and a beard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's had a few secret identities. There's Donald Blake, who is a whole nother topic for another day. The amount of retcons and complications with Thor being Donald Blake and not being Donald Blake, and Donald Blake being a supervillain.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. But yeah, he had a secret identity when he was introduced, but then they realized, hey, let's just make him be Thor.
Yeah.
Because Thor is cool. And then they gave him a new secret identity named Sigurd Jarlsson, who is just Thor.
Yeah.
Like, hello, friends. I am this tall, buff dude who looks identical to Thor. But I am not Thor because my identity is secret. I mean, because I am an average Joe who's named Sigurd Jarlsson, which is not Norse at all.
Honestly, there comes a point with the Marvel characters, a lot of them don't even need secret identity, like, at least in the MCU. Like, Steve Rogers, the reason why he works without one is because he's a symbol to the world and for justice. Same exact thing went for Luke Cage in the Netflix series. That's what I particularly loved about Luke Cage in relation to the Netflix Marvel universe, is that Daredevil has a secret identity. Jessica Jones and Iron Fist, what they're going through is too secret and for the public eye. But Luke Cage was a hero for his community. And that dynamic was probably my favorite part of that show. Just saying he's a hero for Harlem.
You briefly mentioned that Steve Rogers doesn't have a secret identity.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that when he was first introduced, he had a secret identity?
Yep.
Like, he was still part of the U.S. military and worked for the U.S. military as Captain America, but he had a secret identity. Also, Bucky Barnes, like, the way that he became a character is he found out Captain America's secret identity, so Captain America's like, well, guess you gotta be a child soldier now, Buck.
In the 1944 serial show, Captain America has a secret identity. He's like a journalist. He's not even Steve Rogers. He's like some regular journalist who, whenever the world needs him, he flies from LA or New York to Germany to fight the Nazis, and then comes back later that day like, hey, where'd you go for all those hours? I don't know. I was on a plane to Nazi Germany to, kick some Nazi ass. Oh, okay, whatever. One moment you and I joked about in the past is in the Justice League Unlimited series when Lex Luthor and Wally West had their consciousnesses put into each other's bodies. At one point, Lex Luthor, as the Flash, is in the bathroom and he's like, okay, I need to figure this out. But first I can find out who the Flash really is. And he lifts up his mask and goes, okay, I have no idea who this is.
And in DC, they did do something to acknowledge the fact that every supervillain could very easily figure out every superhero's secret identity. with Identity Crisis, where it reveals that, yeah, the superheroes just have Zatanna erase people's memories when their identities are exposed, and have been doing this for years.
Daredevil has had some pretty interesting and bizarre excuses to keep his identity secret. For example, there was one time where he was under threat of having his identity exposed to the world. So what he did was he told Foggy and Karen that he was going to go on vacation for the week, but his cousin Matt is going to fill in for him. Or not Matt. What was it? Not Matt.
Mike!
Mike, that's it. Mike.
Oh god, this is the dumbest. It's so dumb that Daredevil once went, well, I can't let people know that I'm Daredevil, so I'll invent Mike Murdoch, my identical twin brother, who is very public about the fact that he is Daredevil.
Yeah.
What?
It's so dumb.
And eventually he's just like, wow, this was dumb, so he just faked Mike's death? And also, recently in the comics, Mike Murdoch became a person, like, through magic. He came to life.
Oh, God. Daredevil's had some weird excuses. He actually had his in the iconic Frank Miller series, Daredevil the Man Without Fear, which is what season 3 of the show is based on. Kingpin was able to find out the information that Daredevil is Matt Murdock, which I believe might have been explained away as Karen gave that information away for drugs.
Yeah, that sounds familiar, and also very much a thing that would happen in a book written by Frank Miller.
But in the show, Kingpin just pieced it together. But I will say, we live in a universe, in both these superhero universes, we live in a world where they're supervillains with telepathic abilities. They can just look into this character's mind and figure out, oh yeah, you're this person. And even in the Marvel universe in particular, the Purple Man, he could just walk up to fucking Spider-Man and be like, hey, what's your real name? Peter Parker? Cool, great to know. And just walk away. I don't know. Identities are a tricky thing. If you think about them too much, you're gonna get a brain cramp.
I mean, to be fair, just finishing off Daredevil, in the early 2000s, I think it was Brian Michael Bendis' run, a newspaper exposed his identity, and then for a few years, like, everyone knows he's Daredevil, but he denies it. He's like, what? No, I'm not Daredevil. And there's a comic where he's fighting Deadpool, and Deadpool, like, makes a lawyer joke, and Daredevil says, I'm not Matt Murdock, and Deadpool's like, I don't know who that is, I was making a joke. But ultimately, Matt Murdock just went public with his identity, and he started going to court dressed as Daredevil. Like, he got a red suit with a Daredevil belt, and it's like, what's up? I'm Daredevil. Honestly, the fact that I've broken so many laws would probably make me, get disbarred, but I'm Daredevil.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I have on superhero alter egos, secret identities.
Yeah, and because everyone who's watched this podcast knows that I look different when I'm not wearing glasses, I'm gonna go sell my soul to Satan to erase the world's memories, BRB.
Please do, because I cannot guarantee that I won't sell your identity for some drugs or a bag of popcorn. I don't know.
Well, if you do, then I guess I'm just gonna have to hire a blind deaf man to dress like me while I do ventriloquism.
Or you could pretend to be your identical twin brother and then fake your death.
Yes, that would also work, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thanks all for listening. Riley, where can they find more about this show?
You can all find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok at Silver Age Silver Screen, where you can check out all the content we post on that. On YouTube, we have full episodes coming soon and post a lot of fun, interesting updates in cinema, updates with the show, releasing new episodes, and got a lot coming out on those social media platforms, so give us a follow on that. You can all find me at Riley Thorpe on YouTube, where you can check out all of my short films and video essays, but mostly the short films, because one of them is actually currently in its second film festival, so I'm pretty proud about that. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Riley James Thorpe.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at JarmsCasey, JarmesCasey. You can find all my shit at CaseyJarms.wordpress.com. It's a website. Brilliant commentary, Casey. Got writing there, got games there. Like, check it out. There's some good stuff. We'll be back next week where, we talked about a lot of dumb, Silver Age, campy, cheesy stuff this episode. And that's kind of tonally similar to next week's episode, because we're watching Speed Racer. It had the same directors as The Matrix.
Yep.
It is very different than The Matrix. It's an anime adaptation that I've never seen, but I've heard it's the most balls-to-the-wall, bullshit, insane movie ever.
Yeah, I watched it once as like a little kid. I didn't finish it, but I remember it's really colorful, really bizarre, and John Goodman's in it, of all people.
Ooh, John Goodman. Wait, is it friendly dad John Goodman or evil psychopath John Goodman? Because he plays both of those roles very well.
He does. Mostly like a lovable but strict father.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. As always, I'm Casey Jarms.
And I'm Riley Thorpe.
And hey, we need a different outro. I never know what to say when we aren't doing reviews. Like, I say, oh, it's just a film. But it's not a film. We haven't talked about movies in this. I mean, we talked about the Spider-Man movies doing a bad job at Secret Identities, I guess. Whatever. End of episode. Goodbye.